first time I ever went to the Massanutten Western Slope was probably 1990, I want to say. It was the second Massanutten hoo-ha race. I remember specifically driving to these farm fields out in Kieseltown, looking up at the mountains and being super intimidated by these tall peaks of Laird's Knob and Massanutten Peak. But I remember being like amazed at how fast you could go downhill off-road on a bike. I moved to Harrisonburg kind of after college, spent a couple months here, was kind of transient for a couple years, but really landed with both feet on the ground in Harrisonburg in like '94 and got pretty involved in trail work and trail projects. We would go out there and ride, and there was always private property signs, and you'd look the other way, and sometimes you would see a security guard and dive into the woods. And that was common, and it was kind of just known, people used the trails. But when we started working on them, and Massanutten actually started saying, hey, you guys are riding the trails, you want to help work on them? We're like, great. The more work we did, the more we want to legitimize kind of our access. The relationship between the bike community and Massanutten Resort has a long history, and it's very organic, natural growth and partnership. Just built out of trust, and that has grown to now have legitimate access, with a pass.
The Western Slope is sort of an interesting story because I've lived here my whole life, and I really didn't know about the Western Slope at all. The backside was sort of this hidden secret. At the time, there wasn't that much trail work going on. There were trails that existed. The Western Slope had a reputation for being really rocky and really challenging for people, and mostly for people who were really into mountain biking and had done it their whole lives, or at least were really skilled at it.
But it's not just mountain bikers using the Western Slope. It's people hiking, people trail running. And I personally check all those boxes. What is the Western Slope to me? Oh, it's a place I can take my family to go hiking. I remember taking my kids, and the big destination was the pond, and like all kids, they want to throw something in the water, find a stick or a rock.
I was an avid hiker, so once I realized there were some trails out there, I really started to explore that space, and it's so beautiful. It really felt like I could go out on any trail and just be away from everyone.
I come from a family of runners, and just was always inspired by my family, especially my grandfather. So he's the one that took me on my first run when I was 10 years old back in South Dakota, and we were living in Maine at the time. So we came back during the summer. My mom suggested I try going for a run with him, and just thought it was like the coolest thing ever to be running with your superhero.
Remember when we went for a bike ride the other day? This is what our bikes were.
One of the goals always behind the Shenandoah Valley Bicycle Coalition has been working with other community groups and community partners. Creating those relationships is really the heart of it all, because it's about bringing people together.
My friend Amanda, she is part of SBDC, and I just kind of threw it out there as like, hey, I have a bunch of athlete advocates who are also mountain bikers. They love, doing a blend of trail running and mountain biking. And I would love to make sure that this is just normalized, that we don't feel like we have to be in one track. And we're also athletes sharing the same trails. And so let's collaborate, let's create an event, let's do something together to bring us, together more holistically. And so that's when we organized the Running on Native Lands, community 5K run and walk that we had, where we were out at the slope. And that's where we had people who were mountain biking and went out and did it. We had people who were walking, and we had people that ran, about a 5K.
I really started running in college, and so did Kevin, my husband. We love the feeling that it brings us. We love how it keeps us in shape, the social aspects. So we've always wanted to bring a welcoming spirit to running events, and I think Kevin's and his partner Alan have done a great job with that. Last year it was really cool. We did an event out here at the Western Slope called Perfect Day 50K. By the end of the day we had this community cheering each other on and people just achieving crazy goals, and it was amazing that we had the support of the coalition and Western Slope to bring something to a place that is known for mountain biking to also incorporate running events, and really hope that people who are here who maybe had never been out here before that are runners would now come out and start running, and maybe they'll get turned on to mountain biking too.
You guys just out hiking?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes ride, sometimes hike, but yeah,
Cool.
beautiful. Love
All
being
right,
out
so
here.
you know where you're at. You have any questions?
Yeah, a little bit. Are you involved with
Yeah, I'm pretty involved with the trail system here. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Thank
I mean,
you. They're
we were
so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just love how I'm not a real technical rider, so that more and more sort of beginner, intermediate, smoother trails is like, so a lot of people really appreciate that.
Really what we've seen the past 10 years is when we started providing that user-friendly kind of new trail experience. We found wow, there really was a huge need for that. And all of a sudden people are like, oh my gosh, this is great. I haven't gone there before, because I heard it was really intimidating, or being able to navigate the trail system is always a challenge.
Over time, I started coming out and just riding a little bit on that gravel road, which felt, great. And I was away from cars, and I was just enjoying the experience of being in nature, but not being afraid of being on the bike, getting to know the bike better, and how to be stronger on a bike. And then eventually they started really putting in some more beginner-friendly trails. And so I started, in a very small way, going onto those trails and really, really loving it. And realizing the joy, or I call it the whoop, because it's when you're going downhill, there's just such an amazing feeling.
The beginner trails are great for kids who are just learning how to mountain bike, but they're also great for adults who are also learning how to mountain bike too. They're really nice because they're accessible right from the parking lot, especially some of the newer ones from the past few years. It's really nice for building your confidence. And actually we started mountain biking at Hillendale Park on the green trails, and eventually then felt more confident enough to come out here and try it out. I am an assistant coach for Shenrock. I serve on the leadership team with them. We've been involved with the program for about 3 years, and I've been mountain biking for 4 years, running for 20 years. Shenrock is an incredible youth mountain biking team that we have here at the Massanutten Western Slope. It's for kids ages 9 all the way through high school, for all abilities and experience levels. If they want to race or not race, all interest levels are welcome there too.
We've been taking our firstborn Chosuke, out there for hikes in our little hiking pack. It's just a whole different personality, a whole different kind of calming energy that would come out of our son whenever we go outside. And so now it's we have twins. We have to find another special pack that can hold 2 babies at the same time.
Remember we say hi, tree.
Hi, tree.
We try and read books that reflect nature and proper etiquette and how to care for our environment when we're outside. It's just something that is really part of us as a couple and as individuals, and something that we really want to make sure is there for our children, because in this climate, literally, we don't know how long we're going to have some of these beautiful landscapes. And so fostering that connection with our family is just incredibly important and a huge mental health boost for all of us.
So this is the big dig day for the Shenandoah Valley Bicycle Coalition. And the idea here is to just generate more engagement with the members of the community to help understand maintenance and to work on a project that we all benefit as riders and users of the space. We built this to be a skills area for all levels of riders. There's a lot of demand for jumps and for little rolling spaces, and we just saw that there was a need to have a space for newer riders and more advanced riders to kind of have a safe place to just practice. So one of the coolest comments I heard was, we have like a 70-plus-year-old gentleman who rode mountain bikes for years, but he was kind of getting to the point where he just didn't want to risk it on the more difficult trails. And then after we built these, he was like, I have a place to go ride, and then he can bring his granddaughter, and she can come here and learn. And they can both learn or ride on terrain that they both feel comfortable with. Even though he's more experienced, it's just where he wants to be in a more comfortable space, and she is learning so she can be on the same trails as him. So it kind of gives you an idea of like who can come and ride this and what it means to people when they have a space to ride that feels good.
Seeing its development has been kind of an incredible thing, and it's given me a lot of hope about how we can create the communities that we want.
There has been significant growth, not just in terms of trails, but in terms of users. But the one thing that hasn't changed is once I got a mile away from the park line, the trails, we really didn't see anyone. There is so much out there, and there's so much additional potential out there in terms of trails.
The first time I came out was for a run, and the trails are amazing for that. There's so many miles of them that you see some folks along the way, but it really doesn't feel crowded out here.
To watch it go from being something that was just kind of inaccessible to most people, especially on a bike, to having so much access has been an incredible thing. I know for me, I've had different challenges in my life physically, and it's allowed me to have access to still being as fit as I can be, to still being a part of nature, which makes me a happier, healthier community member.
More work needs to be done. So not only does the work need to be done to make sure that this is a exposed public place, but we also need to make sure that the environment that we're creating is a safe space. You know, we have so many people, underrepresented people of color, who don't want to participate because they don't see themselves or because they've had past experiences of feeling alienated or not welcomed. I think the first step is, making sure that these spaces are accessible and how we're communicating that. And then the next step is making sure that the people that we're bringing together, we're making sure that you see yourselves in this space and that you feel safe when you are here. But our main focus is we care about the environment, we care about access to the outdoors, we care about safety, and why can't we do that together?
I think the Western Slope has given a lot to this community, and I hope a lot more people get to experience it, especially now that we have all this access at the bottom where we can really just try out our skills and see what we can learn and decide how far we want to go. I've watched the trail development go from, just the top athletes being able to have access, or people who really gotten that skill under their belt, to, people, friends of mine being able to just go out and running, just going out and getting their workout in. Can we make this a place that benefits everyone involved so that we always have access to that land? And I think the more people you have that are excited, the more people that you have that are involved, and the more people that you have that are willing to put work in, and the more access that you have for visitors and for people who live here in the community, the brighter the future is, because the more popular something is, the more people are going to advocate for it.
When I'm out there, I see mountain bikers, people running, people walking their dogs, families. There's a wide range of people out here, so I think whatever gets you excited about being in the outdoors and nature, come on out, and there's a place for you out here at Massanutten Western Slope.
I'm excited about what the future has in store. I'm confident that we as a community will keep moving forward in the right directions.